Hey, 9:30, The Link, Pacific Point, Scabo Enterprises, IT&E, Jack in the Box. It's Monday, September 20th. Good morning. Let's head into the Zoom room, shall we? Where we have standing by from the Division of Environmental Health, Leilani Navarro. Good morning.
Monday morning, everyone.
Happy Monday.
Thanks for having me again.
Of course. I hope your Monday's going pretty good.
So did y'all have a busy weekend?
Oh yeah. So we received complaints of COVID violations in bars. So our teams went out on Friday night and Saturday night, and we inspected a total of 8 bars. And so far, all those bars, when we did the inspections, everyone were checking for vaccination status. They were all wearing masks. They were following all the other requirements in the latest guidance, so no violations were observed.
So when you look at the video, Lonnie, it looks like there's all kinds of violations being observed. So can you kind of go through what you see in the video?
Is it playing now?
Oh, yeah, whenever. I know you saw it, so good.
Okay. Well, in the videos, there were obviously a lot of the patrons and some of the staff were not wearing masks.
Yeah.
But when our inspectors came, in some of the bars, they even went twice on a Friday night and a Saturday night. So everyone were wearing their masks. So the complaints were, or the videos were not substantiated during the inspection.
So when you guys get the complaint, do you call the bar and say, "Hey, we're coming down because we got a complaint"? So they already know, like, okay, everybody mask up. Let's do the hokey pokey. No more,
Or do you go to the door and they're
Yeah.
like, "Hey, we're with public health. Hey, everybody, public health
Do you
here."
come in? Yeah.
I mean, because obviously, Lonnie, it
You guys
looks
have
like
these bright neon shirts. Like, we're coming.
I don't know, for some reason, they just they I think they just know that we're coming, but we don't call them. We don't give anyone heads up. All our inspections are unannounced, and maybe the only clue that they see that we're there is when they see our cars,
right.
public health cars. That's it.
So is that what you think is going on, Lonnie? I mean, you've been doing this a long time, right? When you see the video, it looks like hee-haw. But when you show up, it's like, oh, no, it's okay. So is that what your gut feeling is?
It's hard to tell, Chris, because, as an inspector, we really are only bound by what we observe during our inspections. When we see, in my experiences, even if they send us pictures or videos, if it doesn't support what we see during our inspections, then we cannot really say that it's otherwise.
Okay, so what about in terms of the self-attestation and everybody that's going to the bars and the restaurants, they're all vaccinated. So that's kind of what you guys have been finding. You guys have been taking the list, running it through the, WebIZ, and everybody on there is legit. They have been vaccinated.
That's right. And one requirement when the covered establishments use the self-attestation as a form of vaccination, a proof of vaccination, they have to use the DPHSS issued self-attestation form, which states that that anyone who signs that has a responsibility, and they can be prosecuted based on their attestation. So, hopefully that language which is actually in the law, would encourage people to use the form as honestly as possible.
What about like military people? How do you validate
Yeah.
that they're vaccinated?
Like the British, for
Yeah.
example.
Right. So it's the only responsibility the covered establishments has is that they have to show us that they check for proof of vaccination. So they can do this via the contact log that we check when you go into the establishment or the self-attestation form. So it's up to them. It's up to the establishment if they will be checking the vaccination card versus an ID, or the self-attestation form versus an ID. It's up to the establishment. As long as they check that their patrons are vaccinated, then they meet the requirement.
What? How are you? I mean, then what's the point of the fines then? Because if you're just going to take the business or whatever at their word for it, and I mean, what business is going to turn down money, right? So I mean, I'm just in the case of the British, right? So they're not on the WebIZ, and you just go into these bars and you say, "Hey, did you check?" And they're like, "Yeah, we checked," but you don't verify.
Unfortunately, Chris, that's the only that's up to where we can go with in terms of that, in terms of enforcement of that provision. But if it were like in a private setting, for example, then that's the time we will be checking for vaccination status of each individual, and each individual will be cited and penalized individually. So if it's in a covered establishment, then the onus is on the operator of the establishment to make sure that they're following the guidance, and they can. That's the only way we can penalize them if they don't follow the guidance memo 2021-23 now.
Can you
I'm sorry,
explain
24.
what is the difference between a private? What did you say? A private?
So
Like a wedding?
if yes, so like in a wedding, right? There's
Ah.
no usually the establishment is separate from the organizer, so we're not able to penalize the business owner in that case. We will be checking we will be checking if each person are following the vaccination requirements, versus when it's in a covered establishment, the business owner would be the one responsible in ensuring that all the patrons that they're accepting have proof of vaccination, and the owners are following the guidance.
What's the penalty though for, like, let's say a bar? What are the penalties? Can you just go over them real quick?
Sure. First offense is $1,000.
First offense of what?
Second offense, first offense of any violation. So it can be social. Well, right now there's no social distancing. It can be mask wearing. It can be limited authorized operations. So that would be if they're not checking for vaccination status. Also, if there's absence of contact logs. So if, for example, an establishment is found to not follow all those three items, then it's a 3,000 violation for the first offense.
Wait, did you say there's no social distancing? Because I thought that everything was 100% capacity with social distancing. Did we change that?
There's actually no social distancing requirement, but it's up to the establishment if they want to be more strict. The only requirement as it relates to social distancing is between tables in an establishment.
Right.
So each table has to be 6 feet away from the next table.
Can you go back to, let's say, so I own a bar and the ship is in and there's a bunch of guys here. They want to come in and drink. I know they're going to spend a lot of money. So I'm like, yeah, you guys vaccinated? Yeah, whatever. Come in, come in, come in. But then public health comes and it turns out that they're not vaccinated. What happens then? Or are you just saying that you guys don't even bother to check because the business said we're checking?
The business should be the ones checking. And if we see that the business is not checking, then we will issue citation to the business itself.
But if it's a wedding and it's just regular people, then you can shake everyone down and ask for the papers.
It hasn't happened, but if if it does, that's why we also a lot of times we also get the assistance of GPD, because in cases when there's congregation and we have to cite multiple people, GPD can assist with the issuance of tickets.
But it just seems like we're going after people in the community that are, I guess you could say, celebrating significant milestones in their life, more so than we are going after people that are living it up in a bar.
I mean, it should be the
it's
same
more,
to me.
yeah, you're more strict on
The people.
than in a bar.
And I'm still wondering how do
is
they?
that am I hearing this right?
Yeah, you are.
I am.
It just
Leilani, am I hearing this right?
Well, that's how we're trained to do citation issuance. If it falls within a business, then we will issue it to the business owner.
Right.
And if there's no business license associated with an event, then we have no option but to cite the individuals.
So what are the fines again for the What are the individual fines? Like if I am lying about my vaccination status to get into a bar, is there a penalty?
Yes, it's $100 for the first offense.
But how do you find out if you don't
per
check?
violation.
If you're not checking the status and you're just taking the business's word for it?
I'm sorry, Chris?
How do you enforce the fine? Like, let's say, again, I'm not vaccinated, but I want to go get me a Prince Harry. So I go to the bar, and they're like, hey, are you vaccinated? And I said, yeah, don't worry about it. I sure am. And they let me in, and I'm partying, and then you guys show up, and how would you give me a ticket for lying about my vaccination status when you're not even checking it with the business owner?
Okay. It's not that we cannot. It's like looking at the whole event, because there's this business owner that's supposed to be checking it, then we would just put it on the business owner's responsibility to check that. But we can, if we need to, if we have sufficient evidence, or we have proof that this person is not vaccinated, we can definitely check it. But like I said, the priority is we try to work with the business owners to make sure that they're checking everyone, because not all the time that we'll be there there checking. So it's like also training these establishments to be mindful of their responsibility.
But Leilani, how does a business owner have the ability to verify whether or not somebody that's self-attested to a vaccination is actually vaccinated? They don't have access to the WebIZ.
Yeah.
So there's, in the guidance memo, there's different types of proof of vaccination that they can adopt, that they can use. So it's really up to the establishment, how they're gonna check it, if they're gonna check it versus an ID. And unfortunately, Sabrina, we really don't have, if people are gonna be showing fake vaccination card, we really don't have any um, control over that. But again, the self attestation says that if a person lies or commits perjury or uh, um, attests that they're vaccinated when they're not, then they can be criminally liable and they can be prosecuted.
But public
So
health
that's the
doesn't verify these self-attestation forms that you guys give to these businesses, right? Do you guys take those forms, or do these businesses submit those forms so then public health can verify and check whether or not people are lying on this self-attestation forms? Or do you just get these forms and or not even get these forms? It's just forms are out there for what?
The forms are supposed to be kept on file with the establishment for a period of not less than 60 days. And this would be actually important in case, especially when we conduct contact tracing.
But you don't go out,
And
you guys don't collect them and verify whether or not people are lying on the self-attestation.
not right now, Sabrina, we do not have the capacity and the manpower to do that.
Well, this sounds like the enforcement is. I mean, if I'm a bar owner, for example, I mean, all I got to do is say, "Yeah, we're checking it. Don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
Come on in, guys. We're cool. Yep, ship is in. Let's party." Or locals. Let's go. 18 to 39. Come on, guys. We got our lookout out in the parking lot. Is that public health? Yeah, I thought I saw public health. Everybody switch to bottled water. Mask up. I mean, we're making a joke of it, Lonnie, but I mean, the point of these restrictions was to stem the flow of the virus. And I mean, it's just weird that we're using honor system for, and I understand that's because these businesses come up with the protocols that you guys are supposed to approve or whatever. So they're supposed to have these things in place, but it's just weird that it's honor system for a business, but we got the SWAT team showing up at weddings. That you don't have to respond. No, it's just.
And no response is a response.
She just has to do. You got a job to do, Lonnie. We get it.
Can I ask you about exemptions? Because I've gotten this question before. If you've had COVID, do you qualify for an exemption? A medical exemption?
Okay. Well, with regards to any exemption, medical or religious, it would be Chima's team.
Okay.
Handle that. Sorry, I cannot. Yeah,
She's
I don't have
finally
any.
happy. She's like, all right.
But on a self-attestation form, can you put exempted? Is that what you put?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. But that's the
And
exemption.
they have to show the certificate of exemption from Division of Public Health, which is Chima's team.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I'm so enlightened.
yeah, that's man. Hey, how many inspectors again? Can we just go through the numbers? How many inspectors do you guys have on the team that go out?
Okay, right now there's 6 inspectors going out.
So who responded to
And these are the same people who are also reviewing the school reopening plans
Lord.
for all 70 schools.
a day.
Are you able to tell us the difference? Because we got those guidance
Yeah, there's a
that
new
were
one.
released just this morning
Yeah.
by Adaloop.
Sure.
There's
What-
a guidance on the first on the social gatherings.
Yeah,
What's the difference?
they should put that at the top, like something new here. That's it.
Okay, sure. I can highlight the differences. So for DPHSS Guidance Memo 2021-24, which is the amendments and further clarifications on vaccination requirements and social gathering restrictions relative to Executive Orders 2021-20 and 2021-21. The changes include for congregation, so under Part A, number 2, the definition of congregation and social gathering, we included in the exemption regular operations in places of worship. So this will be in the churches, provided that the food and drinks are not consumed on site. So congregations in places of worship, as long as it's part of their regular operations and food and drinks are not provided on site, then that's not gonna be considered a social gathering. Also for part A, number 10, funeral ceremony, we included rosaries. So for funeral ceremony, this also does not fall within the congregation definition,
Okay.
as long as there's no food and drinks provided on site.
So rosary, you can have as many people as you want at the rosary, provided you don't have corn soup, tuna sandwich, all that stuff. No food. What, Lonnie? Let me just
Yes,
ask.
no
What if
food and-
what if the food is in a to-go setup? Well, let's say the
If it's
sandwiches are
to
bagged
go
up.
and it's not, yes, if it's not consumed on site and
Okay.
they just take it home, then that's fine. They can. It's not going to be considered congregation.
So that's huge, my people. Rosaries, the funerals, there's no limit on who can attend as long as food is not consumed on site.
on site.
Okay.
Okay. And then for
Lonnie, I'm sorry, before you go on, let's say I have a funeral and I got it catered and in the social hall, there's a spread of food there. Am I affected by the limits?
Yes, if there's going to be catered food and it's going to be it's expected to be consumed on site, then it's considered a congregation.
And then I would have to have only 25 vaccinated outdoor or 10 vaccinated indoor.
Indoors, correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. So we also provided a definition for outdoor, which shall mean an open area that may be covered to protect from the elements, but shall not be enclosed by more than 2 walls. So, we've received questions from the community. When does the 10 vaccinated people indoors, out indoors and 25 outdoors apply? So, with this definition of outdoors, we hope that this is clearer. And then for proof of vaccination under Part B, number 2, G, we added proof of medical or religious exemption to vaccination that is issued by public health as another proof of vaccination. And also for organizers of contact sports, they must refuse to allow coaches, participants aged 16 years plus 1 month of age and older who fail to show proof of vaccination status. So previously this was 12 years plus 1 month of age. Now it's 16 years and plus 1 month.
They must show proof of vaccination?
Yes, they must. So contact sports, organizers, participants, and coaches age 16 years and 1 month of age and older, they have to show proof of vaccination. Okay, and so we added another provision in under congregations and social gatherings. We said that the provisions in Part D of the guidance memo, which relates to congregations and social gatherings, shall apply in all public and private settings, including covered establishments, unless expressly exempted in this memo. So that's the highlights or the changes in the vaccination requirements and social gathering restrictions.
And is the school guidance, is there a lot of difference between that and the one that was previously issued?
Yeah, so for the school guidance, previously they were not allowed to open if they did not have or they did not submit or have an approved reopening plan. So the guidance memo 2021-23, which is the school resumption of in-person learning for pre-K to 12th grade relative to executive. It now says that the schools can open provided that they submit their in-class school operation plans no later than October 1st, and it must be approved by the Division of Environmental Health no later than October 31, 2021. Otherwise, the non-compliant school must cease operation immediately or a penalty may be imposed pursuant to the regulations. And then we just made provided clarifications with regards to the use of face masks, physical distancing. We also provided clarifications on sports and extracurricular activities. So now interscholastic sports are authorized to resume training and operation, and spectators are allowed to attend the events provided that the spectators shall be limited to 4 per athlete, which we call a spectator pod. And then we also included the vaccination and testing requirements for school sports organizers, coaches, and participants.
Lonnie,
which is similar.
We had a question here. Can you clarify? Is baseball considered a contact sport?
Baseball is a non-contact sports. That definition can be found in the Guidance Memo 2021-24. It's on Part A, number 12. It lists all the non-contact sports. So letter A is baseball.
So non-contact sports: baseball, bodyboarding, longboarding, skateboarding, surfing, cricket.
So everything that's not on this list is not
is a contact sport.
It's contact sports. Yes.
Track and field, bodybuilding, powerlifting, strongman, weightlifting, softball, shooting sports, racket sports, paddling sports.
This is interscholastic sports? That's every sports.
Is that just? Those are just the general definitions, right? Yeah. Not sure how it's going to impact the interscholastic cricket league.
Let her finish.
Okay. And also, for the screening testing, where the Division of Public Health, which is Shima's team, will be coming out with a separate guidance for schools to do the COVID testing, case investigation, contact tracing, isolation, quarantine, and monitoring of positive COVID individuals. So that's going to be a separate guidance now. And then for transportation, the major change is that now the Department of Public Works, in collaboration with our department, will develop a guidance document specific to school bus transportation. So it's not the school that will be developing the bus transportation plan now. It's going to be Department of Public Works in coordination with our department.
Okay.
So those are the major changes in the school guidance.
Do you have any idea when that additional guidance then is, that separate guidance, I guess, is going to be coming out for that testing plan? Because
I'm not
schools
sure,
probably
Sabrina,
need to
but
know.
I would think it's a priority because the schools are waiting for it. So hopefully it comes out within the week. But you should check with Chima on that one because they're the ones directly working on it.
And just one more question with regard to sports, because I heard a lot about interscholastic sports, but what about for outside leagues that aren't necessarily a part of any sort of school program? What are the guidelines for them, and why is it different?
Right, Sorry, Sabrina. So If it's not a school sanctioned event, they would fall under the guidance memo 2021-24 for congregation. And so they have to be limited to
10.
yes, 10 and 25. 10 indoors and 25 outdoors.
Wow. So if I if I run, let's say, a basketball company, all I could have is 10 people inside the gym,
Vaccinated.
vaccinated
Right.
kids.
Mhm.
Yes.
Or 25 outdoor.
Yes.
And the thinking behind this, Bree, because we covered this when they came out with the initial memo, is that the schools, the interscholastic sports, they have an existing protocol that was previously approved by public health that entails like all the stuff she was saying, whereas the outside leagues don't. But is that something that's in the works, Lonnie, or are we looking at maybe sometime in a few weeks allowing the outside sports to continue, or is it related to when the surge dies down more, if it does?
Okay, I'm not because this our guidance actually just follows the executive orders.
Okay.
So if yeah, the executive order will say that non-sanctioned school sports will um, not need to follow the congregation limitations, then our guidance will follow.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Lonnie. Sounds like we
You're
gotta
welcome.
ask for Chima next tomorrow, maybe.
Yes.
Or maybe even talk to some of these the outside leagues that
Yeah.
are being affected by this.
Thank you, Lonnie.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
You have a good day.
All
You
right. Good
too.
luck.
Bye.
Uh, don't get mad at Lonnie girl, okay? She's just enforcing what the governor mandated that public health issued the guidelines for. If you're gonna get mad at anybody, take it to Adelup, okay? She's just in this position where they're enforcing